Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. We begin our program with a developing story involving allegations of fraud committed by former Illinois Congressman Aaron Schock. His career was characterized as a meteoric rise, but his decline may be equally as dramatic. Suspicions about the Men's Health cover model's celebrity lifestyle and his questionable real estate dealings and spending of public funds have now turned into a criminal investigation by the FBI into alleged misappropriation of taxpayers' money. This 34-year-old, born in rural Minnesota and raised in Peoria, Illinois, seemed to have led a charmed life. His 3 siblings and he learned early the value of hard work, raising strawberries and selling them on the family farm. By 5th grade, he was doing database management as an independent contractor for a bookstore chain, ran an event ticket buying operation from home, and while still in school, did accounting work for a gravel pit. He began college while still in high school. While earning his finance degree at Bradley University, he ran a garage organizing business and invested in real estate. At 19, he entered local politics when he ran a successful writing campaign to win a seat on the local school board. At 23, he was elected as its president. After that, he unseated a 4-term incumbent to become a member of the Illinois General Assembly and won re-election in 2006. He was also active in a number of local charities and causes. In 2008, at the age of 29, Aaron Schock became the youngest member of Congress, where he represented Illinois' 18th district from 2009 until he resigned earlier this year. Aaron Schock seemed to be on the fast track to accomplishing big things, but maybe the trappings of celebrity and access to power got in the way. Let's go now to reporter Kayla Shem at the former congressman's D.C. office, the place where Schock's public career began to crumble.
Thank you, Richard. Over the past few months, Representative Aaron Schock has been heavily criticized for his questionable expenditures. Many reporters have even gone as far as accusing him of fraud. Schock's fraud accusations first came to light on February 2nd when the Washington Post wrote an article on this office. As you can see, it is extravagantly Downton Abbey themed. Schock reportedly spent over $100,000 to redecorate the office using taxpayers' money. A week later, Politico wrote a report on Schock's lavish spending on hotels in Las Vegas, San Francisco, Miami Beach, and other luxurious cities for campaign purposes. Politico also reported Schock used $90,000 campaign dollars for private planes. On February 25th, CNN wrote an article stating Schock took his interns to a sold-out Katy Perry concert using government funds in June of last year. On March 1st, the Chicago Sun-Times reported Schock used taxpayer money to fly from Peoria to Chicago for a Bears game. The final straw occurred on March 16th, when Politico wrote an article on Schock's reported mileage expense reimbursements. He got reimbursed over 170,000 miles on his only known personal car, but the odometer read only 81,000 miles after selling the car. Not more than 12 hours later, Schock announced his resignation effective March 31st. Since then, Schock has made efforts to pay back the government. Back to you, Richard.
Thanks, Kayla. We now join reporter Hong Win at the resort in Honolulu, Hawaii, where Schock stayed on his last business trip to the state.
Thank Richard. Aaron Schock announced his resignation after 6 weeks of revelation on his business deal and lavish spending on trips, mileage reimbursement, and downtown RV, the style redecoration of his congressional office. The investigation revealed that Schock used taxpayers' money to cover over $24,000 for a flight between May 2011 and December 2012 on private jet. To be asked to comment about this, Aaron Schock said that he wanted to stay connected with his constituents and raise funds for his congressional committee. In detail, he visited 9 different foreign countries in the beginning of 2014, sometimes for the government business and sometimes for his pleasure. In January, Schock visited Myanmar, and then later he visited Pope Francis in Vatican. He also posted an Instagram photo of his visiting to Argentina. He also allowed money on the concert ticket, hotel and entertainment for Super Bowl, Country Music Award, and personal photographer, amongst others. Schock was so alleged to spend $2,000 on sold-out Katy Perry big ticket for himself and his intern last year in Washington, D.C. He spent government fund for this ticket. His intern said that you cannot say no when the boss invites you. An anti-complaint was filed against Schock after it was discovered that a designer redecorated his office for free. The Red Bull antique portrait was meant to evoke Downton Abbey. He spent over $100,000 to redecorate his office. Now back to Richard.
Thank you, Hong. Finally, we go to our legal correspondent, Brett Sebastian, outside the Peoria courthouse, where a grand jury has gathered to decide Schock's fate. Tell us, Brett, is this scrutiny simply posturing from political critics, or did he likely commit fraud?
Richard, Schock has very likely committed fraud. There is solid evidence he has made a false representation of a matter of fact regarding the mileage reimbursement. He concealed the amount of miles his car was actually driven so he could be reimbursed by the taxpayers he represents. The fraud bomb dropped when he turned his SUV to an Illinois dealership in July of 2014. The SUV had 81,860 miles on the odometer. However, from January 2010 to the end of July of 2014, he billed the federal government for 123,131 miles on his personal vehicle. During the same period, he also billed his Schock for Congress campaign account for an additional 49,388 miles. In total, Schock sought reimbursement for over 172,000 miles on his car, despite the fact that he signed documents stating that he had traveled less than half that distance to the dealership. We have also gathered data from the House's official statement of disbursements, which is published quarterly and is current through the last quarter of 2014. As you can see from the chart, Schock was the fifth most reimbursed between 2010 and 2014. Three of the representatives ahead of him come from sparsely populated districts, while Peterson, a Democrat from the state of Minnesota, flies his own personal plane, which has a higher reimbursement rate compared to the cars. To re-answer your question, Richard, there is strong evidence Schock has committed fraud.
Thank you, Brett. In the coming days, we will likely find out if the former congressman will face charges for his acts. In the meantime, Schock can be assured that he has the support of his family, who believe he will come out on top. We close now with this comment from his father, Dr. Richard Schock.
2 years from now, he'll be successful, because if he's not in jail.